Hey folks, welcome back to Inside the NAL, the show where we bring you all the insider info, everything that went down during competitive Rainbow Six for the North American League over the past week. Hopefully you caught all the broadcasts, but if you could not make it to all of them, I understand and I forgive you. My name is Jess Brohard and I'm here to present all of the action for you, but I cannot do it alone. I have three of my favorite esports talents joining me. First up, he once snatched a fly out of the air with chopsticks and then looked me straight in the eye and said, don't tell anyone. So I'm sorry for telling you guys here tonight, it's Veli.
Thank you. I thought you was going to say hands, so I did the action. I feel stupid now, but thank you.
Well, your hands were holding the chopsticks, but it was even more impressive than you're clearly remembering it. Next up, when he's putting his pants on and he puts on a belt, he never misses a belt loop and has to start all over again. It's Stokes.
100% accuracy on belt loops, unlike my headshot percentage in Siege. So.
Very good aim you have there when it comes to belts and belts only. Now, finally, he actually received a job offer from NASA, but he turned it down. He chooses to spend his time here talking about Rainbow Six instead. It's Blue.
Yeah, that might have been a mistake. We're gonna have to run that one back.
You're not having fun with us here, as much fun as you would have.
No, I am. The job at NASA sounds pretty cool too. I'm gonna have to talk to myself about that one later.
Think that one over. Decide if it was the best decision or not. But anyway, it was an absolutely insane week in the NAL. I mean, first up we have Sonic and Disrupt are both in last place in their groups. For Canada, we saw our first match of play in the Canadian division. We saw Altiora 2-1 Nordic. Gosh, gentlemen, what is your takeaway from this week?
So I saw a bit of that matchup. I was extremely busy, but I still made time, right? Because we love our Canadians. Eska, that's all you gotta say. Eska was amazing. And you know what? I said it during the NAL broadcast during the US division at the end of the show. I said, you guys need to start tuning into these Canadian matches because Eska dropped, plus 30, not plus 30, but 30 plus kills. It just went crazy. And it just shows how much, I said it at the beginning of Inside the NAL, and I'm going to say it again. There's a lot of serious talent out here that a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. You kind of took the words right out of my mouth there. I mean, some extremely impressive stuff overall. And again, I completely agree with you on the other front as well. People need to start tuning into the Canadian division as I fall apart here. But people need to start tuning in. Can we restart?
Time, baby.
Can we restart?
No, keep going.
No, we're going to keep going.
Keep
People need to start tuning into the Canadian division, though. There's a lot of players in there that are soon going to be inside a pro league with this amount of talent. I mean, again, as you said last Friday, plus 30 on his kills. That's some impressive stuff.
Yeah, and even away from the Canadian division, of course, the US division gave us some pretty exciting matches too, some pretty unfortunate ones as well. There's a lot to dig into this week, for sure.
There's so much to dig into, but before we actually dive down into the nitty-gritty of each of those, let's first up take a second and talk about LATAM, the Latin American division. As you folks probably know, we did start recently covering that here on Inside the NAL, and just to give you a little bit of info, the format for the LATAM region is a little bit different than for some of the other regions. So for instance, LATAM is actually best of 2. Now teams will earn 3 points if they win a 2-0. They earn 2 points if they win a 1 and a tie, and then they win 1 point for a draw. So definitely a little bit different than what we're maybe used to seeing. And the most recent 3 matches that were played, we saw Black Dragons take a 1-0 versus Santos. We saw Ninjas in Pajamas take a 1-0 versus Team Liquid. And Team 1 took a 2-0 versus FaZe. Gentlemen, is there anything that you have to say about LATAM that you'd like to touch on briefly?
I think,
okay, well, I was waiting to see if Veli was going to throw his hat in the ring or not. The biggest surprise for me was definitely Santos over Liquid. I mean, Liquid is a team that you never really see them do exceptionally poor inside of LATAM. Even when they're in their slumps, they're still a force to be reckoned with. But this week, I mean, apparently things were shut down.
I think that the big storyline right now, when you look at the LATAM division, because it's oftentimes a contention among like a top 4 or 5 teams, and then you have the other teams kind of scrambling for placing below that. I think the real storyline right now is the lack of success that we've seen from FaZe They've not only they took that 2-0 that you just mentioned before, Jess, but I believe there's another match they also lost in 0-2 fashion as well earlier on in the stage, and that's leaving them in pretty poor shape right now. So that's definitely my focus, is seeing them hopefully improve as we get deeper and deeper into the stage.
We also have just a little bit of additional content for you on the English broadcasts, on the English language broadcasts for the LATAM matches. Jackie and Ace are going to be presenting to you the alphabet of Siege, and if you don't know what that means, just take a look at this following video.
Hello LATAM fam, it's been a little while, but damn are we glad to be back. Tim and I are very excited to bring you not only another season, but also a tasty little addition.
We certainly are. Here on the English-speaking LATAM broadcast, we know that tons of you are season Siege viewing veterans, but everyone's welcome here in LATAM, and we are keen to make sure that we've got the newcomers covered too.
We are indeed, and that's why we've put together the A to Z of Siege, to give everyone a level playing field of understanding exactly what we're talking about and processing it with their grey gears.
There's going to be short videos coming in and around those breaks, so don't be disappearing off. We've got great content coming for you, and even if you know what we're talking about, it's going to be over the top of some of the spiciest replays we could find from stage 1, so there's something for everyone. Win-win.
So if you're a little bit confused about what we're talking about, let me give you an example. P would be for post-plant. Get it?
Got it. And we love bringing something for everyone. You know that. It's just what we do. There's plenty more new stuff coming along in stage 2 as well. So, as if you needed any more reason to stick around.
I really hope you're going to enjoy the A to Z of Siege and overall just enjoy this blazing season.
I will definitely be checking out that alphabet of Siege. I hope that you folks all do as well, especially if you're newer to Siege. It is a great opportunity to learn the game along with us. So let's move on and talk about the Challengers division. Now, it hasn't begun yet. The first matches are going to kick off on October 3rd, but folks, Challengers League is a great opportunity for literally anybody to go pro. This is your path to pro. If you want to be a pro Rainbow Six player, this is how you can start your career path. We don't know exactly who is going to be playing just yet. Those are TBD, but we've got our eyes on some favorites. We know, yes, Rent Free, The Last Dance. Veli, what do you want to say about these challenger teams?
It's going to be interesting, and I know they're licking their chops right now because the bottom of the U.S. division is starting to look weak, and the top of Challenger League, looking good. So I can't wait to see. Of course, The Last Dance is going to be one of the main teams on top again, but also there's been 2 newcomers. I'm interested to see 8 play because 8 might be on top of the leaderboards as well. There's a lot of competition there.
I was actually going to talk about the other incoming team, and that being Guidance Gaming. There's a lot of storylines attached to this. I'm decent friends with a couple of these members, specifically Arrow. I've played with him quite a few times. Really, really nice guy. Highly skilled, rat-tastic gameplay as well. He's kind of like a younger version of Laxing with that rat style of gameplay. But Jess, we got some girl power on this team, girl. I don't know if you know that. We got Marmalade coming along for the ride. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, this woman shoots straight. She's using the G8. She's using the Alda. Anything she can get her hands on, that woman will smoke a lot of the people in this division.
That's amazing. That is so great to hear. Thank you, Stokes. Thank you so much for sharing that tidbit. That is very encouraging. I will definitely be keeping an eye on the Challenger matches. Once again, those are coming for you October 3rd, so just around the corner here. But let's move on and let's talk about Canada. So the Canadian division of play did kick off. Once again, we saw Altiora take a 2-1 versus Nordic. Veli, what do you have to say about this match?
So there are 2 players that come on. It was Eska and Euphoria. Euphoria had 28 kills and get it. Through 3 maps, Eska went 36 and 17, 7-0 on entry, and had 1.16 kills per round. And to show you how amazing a 1.16 is in Rainbow Six Siege, we get about 1 or 2 people that get that throughout an entire event. 1 or 2 people. And those people are the Bolos, the Laxing. So I'm ready to see if this wasn't a fluke, if this is for real, and that Altiora can reign kings of Canada. It's going to be a good battle with them and also Mirage.
I was just about to say that. After that series, I really just want them to play Mirage. That's all I want them to do. I want them to play Mirage so bad. I can feel it in my bones, Veli. I can just feel it. Super excited for that matchup when it comes.
The other thing to look at with this series too is kind of the lack of performance from a few of the key players on Nordic. Specifically, if you look back at Nordic's last match, which interestingly enough was also against Altiora, but obviously the previous version of that roster. And the biggest thing you'll notice is Bossack and Lackey, if I'm saying those names correctly. Apologies if I'm not. They were really at the top of the scoreboard, impacting in a pretty big way for Nordic, where we didn't really see that in the most recent match. So that's another reason as to why we saw the scores get flipped there, and Altiora ultimately took control of this series, where traditionally it's been Nordic kind of controlling things there.
Thank you all so much for that breakdown. Those tidbits of info, they were so delicious. As always, as you folks can see up here on your screen, we have the Canada Division bracket, so you can see where we came from, see where we're going, see where we came from, Cotton Eye Joe. Next up, our match that we're going to see is going to be Livid versus Mirage on Friday, and then the loser of that match will play Nordic the following Friday. Which brings us to, gentlemen, Veli, Stokes, Blue, are you ready? Do you know where we're going next?
Yes.
I hope so.
We're going to the United States Division. So, wow, there is just so much to talk about here. There's a ton. Let's start there. Yes, I see what jersey, I see what team you're representing SSG, but we're not quite there yet because we have to talk first about the Monday matches where we saw E United 2-0 the Sonics, we saw Oxygen 2-1 Disrupt, and there is a lot to unpack here. Veli, what's really the nut that you want to crack into first?
The net that I want to crack into, man, I'm going to the biggest tree. E United, they were one of 3 teams that made team changes, and they brought over a familiar face, and it was Rexon from Luminosity. And Rexon has been so great so far. He's been that ball of fire that they've been missing, especially when it comes to entry fragging, right? But it's not just Rexon that has been great for this team. I personally think Kansan has had a better experience with this roster so far. He has been a standout. Now, we all talk about Iconic, we all talk about NJR, but the new rookie in the league, Kansan, he has been on top, man. A lot of people doubted him and even questioned why he made it in over other players. He shut him up real fast, went positive in his games, and he showed us that his dominance, especially with Maestro, is something that everybody should be afraid of.
Yeah, he's given all of these rookies a run inside of stage 2. It's been so impressive so far what E United's been able to pull off, and I really think it's because of the synergy that Kansan has with that squad. I mean, right off rip, I mean, even though they haven't had that much time together, you can see the structure of their comms working out so well,
Yeah.
the on-site play, he's getting these picks, and he's got such a nice style of doing things, Val. I think this is why you like him so much.
He styles
He
on
plays
people.
support, but he styles on people.
Yes.
He will peek something where you're like, why? What? And he wins it. It's
Love
amazing gameplay that Kansan's been able to, produce for E United. As long as he sticks on this path, I see E United going pretty far.
There's one play in particular, and Blue, if you were going to talk,
No,
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
no,
Go ahead and finish. Mine's
All
on a
right,
different
there's one
topic.
play in particular where I knew Kansan became a man. This play put hair on his chest. It was a 1v1 against Super. Any newcomer in Tier 1 competitive professional Siege, they would have been scared. They probably would have turtled. But no, Kansan rotated all around. This was Consulate, right? He rotated all around in Garage and challenged Super in the 1v1 and dominated him. You love that type of confidence.
And talking about, the Sonics here for a second as well, the question now shifts for them is, what's kind of become of them? Because this is 2 weeks in a row now where we've had very lackluster matches overall from this roster. And this was after, a really good first stage going back to the beginning of the summer when everything started. So, United's starting to look like the new Sonics in a lot of ways here now for stage 2. But where exactly does that leave the Sonics? Because it's been 2 very unconvincing performances so far. Obviously, we're not really even going to get answers until we get to the second bracket phase now at this point, since they're in 4th place for their group. But yeah, I mean, we have to see something better for them when the new brackets come out.
Honestly, I feel like this is the time where Drake had a really good line about this. Turn those Twitter fingers into trigger fingers because you guys need to start shooting straight. That's all I'm gonna say.
Sam's on mode today. I love it.
Well, since this was such an exciting, enthralling match, we do have a clip ready for you guys. This was during map 2. The Sonics were up 6-3, so it was match point for the Sonics. E United's back was against the wall. It looked like the Sonics were going to do something big here, but E United came back to win this round in particular, as well as the following 2 to push it into overtime. And then, as we all know, they did end up taking the 2-0. So take a look at this awesome clip.
Site. Kansan gets the opening pick onto Iconic, so you are down 1, and it's the Maestro. So not only are those Evil Eye cams locked in place, but you've lost the Alda, and you've lost Iconic, who has been showing that he is capable of taking his rightful place on the score sheet. Yet he trades off Alfama as he'd lost his teammate, and the Sonics, if they continue to trade down, will eventually be bled out on this map. But this is aggressiveness that does not pay off as Sleben decides to try a fight against the Ashe, and Rexon is going to be able to pull off the diffuser. The gas canister's not working, but Gomfy lights him up in 2 big kills as he heads for the hills. Easily is down, so Gomfy will need to find the remaining 2 members of E United. But diffuser down means that it will be an even greater challenge. Inside a piano, Yeti is there, and he is immaculate in that spot as he absolutely plays the Sonics. E United still very much alive. They are looking to close this gap, but it will be match point for the Sonics for the next 2 rounds.
Nah, man. The Sonics played themselves that round.
All right, well, Veli, Stokes, Blue, anything to say about that match? Any final thoughts or any quick thoughts on Oxygen versus Disrupt on Monday before we head on to Wednesday's matches?
Actually, there's one thing I want to say. I'm highly disappointed in Sonics. This doesn't look like the team that we all know, but I'm very impressed with the United. So this season has shaped up quite well lately.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that the thing for me, for Sonics, is that I don't hate the Sonics at all. I love seeing them play well, especially the energy in the room when they are playing well. I mean, whenever we go over to the camera, they're jumping up and down. The coach is happy, you know, super standing up, doing his thing. Same as Kev. I mean, they're a great team to watch. So much fun, but this time around, there was no spark at all. It just seemed that everything just was not going their way. Whereas if you look at the E United camera, you see that excitement, Yeti clutching up. You got, woo, all that energy coming out. You know what I mean? That's what you need to see. We saw the same thing from SSG today. You need to stay in that dominant mentality. I want to see them try and get back to what they once were.
Yeah.
Blue, any final thoughts?
No, just really quickly on the OXG and Disrupt game, I think that we saw kind of marginal improvements back comparing it to the previous week from both teams there. And while like I'm somewhat satisfied with Disrupt right now, obviously again placing 4th place in the group isn't what they expected, but I do still think we need to see a bit more of an improvement in OXG's camp. Foxe as an individual improved massively from week 1 to week 2, as that was one of the biggest criticisms with OXG's play. But overall, I think we need to see a little bit more out of that team for their next matchup. Otherwise, that could end up going badly for them as well.
Beautifully put.
Just to toss something in on there just for a second, Jess, I think that the biggest thing for OXG right now is Biologic. Bio has went into this slump that we haven't really seen him play elite like we once were. And Veli, especially, like we saw him perform so well inside of stage 1 and stage 2. He's just been on the NyQuil.
Are we gonna have a moment right now? Because I've been wanting to say the same thing. Bio, when OXG was on top, Bio was doing well. Now Bio is struggling, and OSG, they're starting to struggle. So they need their IGO to pick it up.
All right. I know we could talk for hours about Monday, but you know what else I'm dying to talk about is Wednesday's matches. So first off, we had Space Station Gaming versus Dark Zero, and that is the match that I was most looking forward to this week. Space Station Gaming did end up taking a 2-0 on Dark Zero, but it was another one of those 2-0s that we've seen time and time again, where if you look at the round count, it was actually a lot closer than just a clean 2-0 sweep. And then we did see TSM clean 2-0 sweep Tempo Storm in... I have no words. Veli, will you have some words?
There's no fashion. They just died. It was over.
They just stopped existing.
I don't even want to talk about them anymore. No. But to be completely honest, Space Station Gaming, they looked really good, especially map number 2. Dark Zero, we saw some troubles. They ran into some issues. But at the end of the day, these are your titans of NA. They're going to be back on top together, battling it out. And I can't wait to the finals in NA. Man. These two just go all out at each other. But they're in great shape for 6 Invitational as well.
Listen, if Veli's going to be the SSG simp, I got to be the DZ simp. Just for a moment here. Amazing series in between these two today. But Veli, you and I are both big fans of sports. And if there's one thing that you love to see from a team at the caliber of Dark Zero,
talk to me.
They need to lose. They have to lose. They have to lose early. You always that is something that needs to happen. You don't want your team to go 16-0 and then get to a LAN. You don't want that. If they don't have that, oh hey, we got a fire under our butts, we might lose. It's over. And to have Dark Zero get punched in the face like this is exactly what needed to happen. I'm putting it on the line right now. I'm saying this needed to happen for Dark Zero for them to progress further.
Yeah. You know what, Sam? They got comfortable sitting in the mansion. You know, they were on top. They won the major. SSG put him on their ass, and they brought him back to reality. So now Dark Zero, they know they're gonna have to bring it next time because Canadian, he's not going easy.
Hey, money doesn't buy you happiness, but I mean, it sure does get you a mansion.
To be fair, they've only been in that mansion for like 2 weeks or something like that. So I don't think that, we're not getting to that point or anything like that.
No,
yet.
absolutely
But I agree.
Absolutely not.
I agree with Stokes' point saying that it was a much needed loss, and I think in the long game, it's actually going to continue to set up like this really crazy rivalry between SSG and Dark Zero, which is really fun to see, and I think TSM is also like a really good competitor in that arena as well.
All right. Well, we do have a clip from that match. This was round 6. This was Skies clutching up for Dark Zero to tie up the scoreline 3-3. It's absolutely beautiful. Take a look.
Now opening up much greater play capability for SSG to start swinging up the main stairs.
Sky's only 2 bullets in that shotgun. He'll be hard pressed to hit his target, so a lot will be hinged upon the Jaeger, who gets flashed ever so slightly. Sky's with 1, putting those bullets to good use. He'll take down Rampy. Plant coming in from Canadian. They'll need to stop him. Hot and cold covered by Thinking Nade, so you're going to have to try to get the Hibana down. Thinking Nade dusted Canadian, taking damage, but the objective play is sound. They'll have to get to it as quickly as they can. Playing inside a study, down goes Canadian, and Fultz will need to wrap around the back of the bomb site. Just as he does so, he takes Skies down to 1 HP, but they've doubled up on him. Dark Zero know they've got a clock working with. 26 seconds, 25 seconds. Can they finish him off? He's on the ground, and Fultz doesn't check it. What a miraculous clutch from Dark Zero as Skies, the absolute rat. He's on the ground, and he plays it beautifully to tie things up. And we will hit the reset button at the half. Both teams 3-3.
So to be honest,
Jess, I have to cut you off. Right now, that artwork in the back, tell me that's not fire.
Yes.
Oh.
The one. So if you all didn't watch the Dark Zero Mansion documentary, do it now because the stuff that they're doing over there is world class. I gotta give them
I was a
props.
little too
I'm gonna
distracted
say
by
that
the
as well,
Ohio State
absolutely.
chair, but that's just me.
I think somebody tweeted about that. a little bit
I
ago
did.
as well.
There's actually like no reason for that. He literally just likes the chair.
Well,
basically,
good.
as far as I understand
That's
it. Like,
my.
He just
I went
likes
there.
that specific chair. That's as far as the reasoning goes.
Does he need more of a reason? Anyway,
That's not.
any final thoughts on that match? I know that Veli, for his next segment in a second, we're not quite there yet, is going to get a little bit more into TSM versus Tempo. But did you guys want to say anything about that? It went so
Real
fast.
quick question.
Let's get on to Veli's segment.
Can we bring the picture up one more time? I just got a question. Just one question here. One question. Why do you have so many shoes under your desk? I gotta know. There's 3 sets of shoes under that far right desk. There's like slippers, sneakers, Yeezys. Like he's got them all right there, just easily accessible.
Listen, let people like what they like. It brings them joy.
Hey.
Well, anyway, let's bring up the bracket and once again kind of see where we're coming from, see where we're going, see what matches are yet to be played, and how groups are looking. All that good stuff. Here we are in Group A. Anything standing out that you would like to particularly comment on, Veli Stokes Blue?
I think the only real thing here is once again, obviously United, right, up soaring, but this is a big test coming up in front of them. Looking at that lower bracket match between them and Dark Zero, there's a real chance for United to prove themselves. But the question there is going to be, are they ready to take on Dark Zero? Because even with the loss, right, Dark Zero is still a really strong team right now. So that's definitely a match to watch for sure.
For sure.
That Dark Zero versus E United game is going to be crazy. The main thing for me is that Dark Zero doesn't have too much VOD on this brand new E United, and it's really nice, right? Because they get 2-0'd by SSG, so you have a pretty good litmus test there. Going, okay, how good are they? But then they go up against the Sonics, wash the Sonics, and then they go into Dark Zero versus E United, where they only have 4 maps. 2 that they've won, 2 that they've lost. So there's not much VOD for BC and the entire staff for Dark Zero to go through. That's going to be a big factor inside of this matchup.
The other important thing to keep in mind too, right, is if United wins that match, that bumps Dark Zero into the lower group for the bracket reshuffle later on in the season. So that as well. That's where we could see some really crazy storyline potential going on later into the season.
All right, well, let's move on to the Group B bracket then. So lots to unpack here. Coming up, we do have Tempo Storm versus Oxygen. Veli, you want to talk to me about that a little bit?
This is a pretty funny group. Stokes, it's contagious, man.
I'm sorry, man.
It's really interesting. So we see Oxygen with their inconsistencies. They fall early to Tempo Storm. I'm all like, wow, Tempo looks really good. All right, they lose in 3 minutes against TSM. Swift 2-0, right? Disrupt Gaming. I don't know. They had a team change, replaced IGL and Nyx, and then they fell 0-2 to TSM. And Disrupt, they're sitting fourth in this bracket so far. Pretty disappointing, but coming up next, we're going to have Tempo Storm against Oxygen once more. And this is Oxygen's chance to prove that they're getting better and that what happened last time they played against Tempo was an outrageous fluke. It's never going to happen again, but we'll see come game day.
You know what's very scary about this bracket right now? The thing
What?
that's very scary and that stands out to me is that Oxygen is a team that is very adept at changing up their style, and they have a lot of skill. I mean, these are veteran players right now, Veli, and TSM just gave them the roadmap to beating Tempo Storm. Just punch them as many times in the face as you possibly can. Be aggressive, get in those gunfights, and just outskill them. Outskill them. And that's exactly what they did. TSM just beat them up. There was nothing that Tempo Storm could do. I even talked about it on broadcast with Kicks. I mean, Mark is just going to break up some flooring and he gets nitro celled. Like, it's craziness, man.
Well, speaking of Tempo Storm, I believe it is just about time for, like I say, my favorite segment every week. I'm gonna make you do this, Veli, because you are going to talk, I believe, about Tempo Storm, but you know them by a slightly different name. Is that right?
Yes, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I have never seen performance like that in my life in the span of 2 games. That was embarrassing. Tempo Storm, it's your turn to step it up once again. And this isn't the first time I've seen you here, right? So let me just say this. I was your biggest believer. I predicted you all to win on stream. I said, hey, this team, they look great. You know, this isn't what Butters died for, right? You know, they picked up a great player in Jarvis. Shout out to Jarvis. I think he did well, even though he did have a bad game. But when you go against TSM in 3 rounds pass, especially after that great win against Oxygen, and only one person has a kill, and it's only 1 kill, that's embarrassing. You guys should be ashamed. You embarrass me, you embarrass yourselves, and you know you're better than that. So to the coaching staff, to Rams, fix that, because relegation is coming. And we don't know what Disrupt Gaming is all about yet. We see E United, they're looking way better. Sonics, they're eventually going to get up to form. But if you keep this up, I expect you guys to be in a relegation game, and we don't want that. You're better than that. Dreaming Creators has stepped it up so big for this roster. Everyone's been doing such a great job. So play like you know each other this time around. I don't want to see gameplay like that again, because actually, I want to thank you guys, because I had an early night off tonight. But next time around, make the game interesting at least, because that was embarrassing. That's all I got to say. I'm upset, Jess. Stokes, Blue, anybody got something to say?
Man, I know
like
you're hurt,
I'm beating a dead horse,
much to
man.
say when you're just spitting facts, you know?
I mean,
it's sad.
I can't argue facts, you know? Like, I can't argue facts. But what I can say is that it was really, really funny when you said that you also hurt me. That's how much, like, Tempo played so bad that Veli was actually hurt by it. Like, think about that for a second. And it's just a choice.
Like, you know what's funny? I went on record on stream, Sam, and Jackie's like, Veli, what's your prediction? Thinking I'm going to pick TSM. I'm like, no, I'm a believer in Tempo. I made a damn fool of myself in front of those people. Like, apparently. Come on.
I remember that. Didn't someone even say, oh no, you might have just cursed them when that happened?
I said I probably cursed them, but they cursed themselves.
Yep, well,
that was interesting.
As always, Veli, I know you're not mad. You're just disappointed because you know they can do better, right?
He might be a little mad.
Just
a little bit.
I'm mad as hell.
Okay.
Jess.
I take it back. Veli is mad. Tempo Storm, what are you going to do about it? Well, that was such a riveting discussion as always. But I believe that just about wraps up everything we wanted to say about this week for the North American League. So let's pull up that schedule. Let's find out what is going to happen for this coming week. What matches, what regions, all that good stuff. So we're going to start with Canada on Friday. Of course, we have Mirage versus Livid. Mondays, return to the US. We're going to see E United take on Dark Zero, and then Oxygen take on Tempo Storm. And then Wednesday's matches is when we officially move on to Phase 2. So that is why it is TBD versus TBD. That will be determined by Monday's matches, if that makes any sense. So
It makes
Thank
sense.
you. Thank you. I was hoping, but you never know until you say a sentence if it's actually going to hit or not. So, well, there we go. Gentlemen, any parting words before we say goodbye to our audience?
I'm going to say for the narrative right now, and this is really important to look at, we're looking at probably one of the closest battles to be the king of NA. Like, in a very long time. Well, as long as I've been in the scene. Yes, we've spoken a lot about Space Station and Dark Zero a lot, but there's one more team in the mix that everyone, they don't put up at top, and it's about time they prove it. It's going to be TSM, so keep an eye on them for the remainder of the games.
For a really, really long time inside of NA, it was just the EG show. Everyone wanted to see EG be successful, and a lot of things ran through EG. It's really nice that inside of year 5 we have so many teams that are just so damn good at this video game that we're having this conversation, Valley. Because I've been here since the beta. You know what I mean? I've watched all of these matches to see us get to this level where we now have Canadian on SSG. They're performing so well, all the way down the line to having roster moves that are having an actual effect on these lower end teams. I mean, I'm as happy as a clam right now, man. I could not be any happier. But what I can definitely tell you is, though, I'm super happy Dark Zero's doing so well. Shout out to the Flipside fans out there. I hope you guys are still sticking with that squad because they damn well deserve it.
All I have to say is tempo. Don't do that again.
We mean it.
That's
it
it for me.
This is your last chance. All right. Well, folks, be sure to catch us on social media at R6 Esports NA. Be sure to catch those broadcasts, but if you don't, that's okay. We'll be here same time next week to recap it all for you. So we'll see you then. Bye.